Sometime in the ancient times, in the land of Israel, the people had forgotten about God. Again, they began worshiping other gods and doing whatever they wanted. So God allowed a group called the Midianites to take over. Every time the Israelites planted crops, the Midianites would come and steal everything: livestock, food, even their homes. The people were scared, hungry, and hiding in caves. The fields were dry, families were scared. The Midianites were burning the tents of Israelites. Humanly speaking, it was hopeless. After 7 long years, the Israelites finally cried out to God for help. And God, who never stopped loving them, had a plan. That plan started with a man named Gideon. Gideon wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a leader. In fact, he was hiding, secretly threshing wheat in a winepress, an unusual place to do it, so the Midianites wouldn't find him. An angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." And Gideon was startled and looked around and responded,
Me? How can the Lord be with us? Look at everything that's happened. Where are all the miracles our ancestors told us about?
Go in the strength you have. You will save Israel from the Midianites. I am sending you. Gideon was confused and hesitant.
But I'm from the weakest family in my tribe, and I'm the least important one in my family.
I will be with you.
Gideon wanted to believe, but he was afraid. So he asked for a sign. He prepared food and placed it on a rock. The angel touched it with his staff, and fire sprang up, consuming it. Gideon fell to his knees, amazed, and cried out,
Oh, no. I've seen the angel of the Lord face to face.
But the Lord said, "Peace be unto you. Do not be afraid. You will not die." It was time for action, and this action was to start in Gideon's own home. That night, God gave Gideon his first mission to tear down his father's altar to the false god Baal and cut down the Asherah pole beside it. Gideon sneaked out at night with 10 friends, looking nervous but determined. He was scared of what the townspeople would do, so he did it at night. In the morning, the people were furious, shouting angrily,
"Who did this? Who tore down Baal's altar? Bring Gideon out. He must die." Surprisingly, Joash, Gideon's father, stepped out boldly and said,
"If Baal really is a god, let him defend himself."
From that day, Gideon was known as Jerub-Baal, which means, "Let Baal contend with him." Nevertheless, Gideon wanted to be double sure that he had the backing of God. Soon, the Midianites and their allies gathered to attack. God's spirit came on Gideon, and he called the people to join him. But Gideon still needed assurance. He knelt down and prayed, saying,
Lord, if you really want to use me to save Israel, show me a sign. I'll put this wool fleece on the ground. If the fleece is wet with dew but the ground is dry, I'll know you're with me.
The next morning, just as he asked, the fleece was soaking wet, but the ground was dry. Then he said again, nervously,
Let me ask once more. This time, make the fleece dry and the ground wet.
And again, God did exactly what Gideon asked. Now, Gideon was ready. One of the strengths of an army is the number of soldiers available and ready to fight. So, Gideon gathered 32,000 men to fight. But God had other plans. God spoke to Gideon and said, "You have too many men. If you win, Israel might think they did it on their own. Tell the people, anyone who's afraid can go home." In response, thousands of men left the camp, some hugging Gideon before they left. 22,000 soldiers left. Only 10,000 remained. Yet God said they were still too many. He asked Gideon to take them to the water and watch how they drink. Some knelt down to drink. Others scooped water with their hands. God told Gideon to keep only the ones who scooped water with their hands. That left just 300 men. Gideon's eyes were wide in disbelief and wondered, only 300? It was time to actualize the long-awaited dream. That night, God said, "If you're still afraid, Go down to the enemy camp and listen." Gideon and a servant sneaked through the darkness, hiding behind rocks. A Midianite soldier was whispering to a friend soldier, saying,
"I had a dream. A loaf of bread rolled into our camp and knocked over a tent. That can only mean one thing. Gideon will defeat us."
Gideon's eyes lighting up with courage said with assurance, "It's true. God is with us." Gideon needed only torches and trumpets to achieve victory. Gideon returned, filled with courage. He gave each of his 300 men a trumpet, a jar, and a torch. He said to his men, whispering,
"When I blow my trumpet, you blow yours. Smash your jars, hold up your torches, and shout, 'A sword for the Lord and for Gideon!'"
Gideon's men surrounded the Midianite camp quietly. Trumpets blast, jars smashed, flames burst into the night. All 300 men shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon!" The Midianites panicked. Confused and terrified, they turned on each other and ran. Gideon's men chased after them, but many Midianites already fled. So, with just 300 men and the power of God, Gideon defeated a massive army, and Israel was free once again. The people gathered, cheering in joy, fields blooming again, families rejoicing. The people wanted to make Gideon their king, but Gideon refused, saying, "No, I will not rule over you. The Lord will rule over you." For the rest of Gideon's life, the land had peace. The story of Gideon reminds us that God can use anyone, no matter how small or afraid they feel. Gideon didn't think he was strong enough, but with God, he became a mighty warrior. When life feels overwhelming, when you feel unqualified, remember, God doesn't need a big army. He just needs a willing heart. That was the story of Gideon and how he defeated the Midianites to deliver Israel. For more of such Bible stories, please subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching.